Well, first and foremost, Craig, how big is this upcoming series for the Boston Red Sox starting tonight against the Toronto Blue Jays, especially with that one-game lead and 23 games left to go?
Huge. I mean, this has been this seesawing sort of round-robin kind of AL East in the last month or so, and no one seems to be able to get any traction. Being able to go head-to-head against somebody has got to be helpful. Certainly the Blue Jays, since they are the closest to them in the division. But it also showed Boston what they're made of. It's been a very up and down season throughout for the Red Sox, and they're coming off a nice series against the Padres. But everyone has a nice series against the Padres. Good to see how they'll be tested against a very good offense, especially considering that pitching is the Red Sox' big question.
Do you feel like the Sox are getting the Blue Jays at the perfect right time, especially with their struggles against the Yankees?
Yeah, not a bad time at all. But, like I said with Boston, it's been the same for Toronto. They've been a different team from series to series. And, one week they will have Donaldson and Bautista and all those guys go crazy. Then they'll go completely silent against the Yankees team that no one expected anything from in the second half. I don't know if there's a right time, but it's certainly going to be this weekend that hopefully, I mean, I say hopefully, I don't know, who cares, but I'd like to see some distance put between either the Red Sox and the Blue Jays or vice versa, just because it really makes the playoff picture a lot clearer for us.
I know we've been waiting all season long for David Price to really emerge as this ace pitcher that he signed the contract, that huge contract for this offseason. Is he now rounding into that form that I think a lot of fans thought he would have back in early April as opposed to now September?
Well, he certainly had a nice outing on Wednesday night against the Padres. That was really good to see. Followed that up from a nice one that he had against Oakland. Really, he hasn't had a really bad outing, I guess, probably since early to mid-August. We knew this was going to happen. He's not injured. He's still one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Certainly had some ups and downs himself this year, but he's definitely rounding into good form at the right time, and he'll definitely need to keep that up.
What is the biggest concern right now, in your opinion, for the Boston Red Sox in impeding their chance to win this division?
Consistency from the rotation is a big thing. Clay Buchholz returned to the rotation the other night, had a wonderful start. I don't know how sustainable that is, but that's going to be a big question for them. The bullpen obviously has been a concern in the second half for a lot of the second half. Even with Craig Kimbrell there, he's certainly not having a Craig Kimbrell kind of year, even though he's still doing pretty well. Offense is the one thing they don't have a question about. But I think pitching in all of its facets is a big question, not just for the Red Sox, but for the other two contenders in the AL East as well.
One of those guys offensively, as you mentioned, a very prolific offense, but a guy who struggled early on in his now brief stay in the MLB is Yoan Moncada. Do you see him getting a little bit more playing time after a little breather and a day off in that series finale against San Diego, or is this maybe a little too rushing of this young prospect up to the majors?
Well, you always got to be careful on how fast someone moves. He's definitely shown he has nothing to prove in the minor leagues. I guess the biggest question is, at whose expense does he take playing time? He sat. Travis Shaw had a home run on Wednesday. So it gives John Farrell some options. Personally, I think he is the best option for the Red Sox. I don't believe in the concept of guys showing up to the major leagues and their eyes being too big and freaking out and needing to be eased in. Not if they're at a talent level that Moncada is. If anything, they might be better off before they realize that they're supposed to be scared.
We're talking with Craig Calcaterra of Hardball Talk, NBC Sports. Now, the rest of the way through for the Boston Red Sox is going to be foes in the American League East. How difficult is that going here down the stretch for the Red Sox, going against teams that are extremely familiar with them as they try to win at least 10 or so more games to try to get into that postseason?
Kind of a bloodbath division this year. I mean, there's not like so many other divisions in baseball. It's not like we have one dominant team and a bunch of patsies. Even the Rays, the last place Rays, have played spoiler a fair amount here in the second half. No gimmies at all. And the unbalanced schedule definitely hurts, I think, a team that plays in a very balanced division like the Red Sox. Whereas you can see somebody like the Tigers who are in the hunt for the wild card. If Boston doesn't win the division, they're going to definitely be contending with the Tigers possibly for the wild card. They get to play Minnesota a couple times. They even play an interleague series against Atlanta here pretty soon. Schedule doesn't really matter in Major League Baseball for wide swaths of the season, but when it comes down to the last 3-4 weeks of the season, it certainly does make a difference, and Boston just doesn't have any patsies.
We talked to you a month ago about the contenders. I think you still had the Giants and the Red Sox even during their struggles. Who do you view right now as the leading teams right now to win that World Series trophy when all is said and done?
Well, the Giants were my World Series pick at the beginning of the season. Way back at the end of March, I thought the Giants would carry through, and I looked really smart until July. Definitely fading there. Right now, they're giving me no confidence at all. The bullpen is a disaster. The offense has been erratic. Certainly the Dodgers have created some space between them and San Francisco. The Chicago Cubs definitely look like the best team in baseball right now. Anything can happen in a short series. You get into a division series and you have 2 bad days and you're almost done. But I still think that the Cubs are the best and most well-rounded team in all of baseball, just dangerous in every single way. The Rangers might look like the best team in the American League right now from where I'm sitting. But again, they have this very regular season look to them. They have a no weaknesses kind of team, but at the same time, no one who is just this complete standout guy who can sort of carry the team, whether it's on the pitching side or on the offensive side. I'm going to stick with the Red Sox. I think that offense is so dangerous. All they need is David Price to be David Price and Rick Porcello to not turn back into a pumpkin, and I think they're going to look pretty good in the postseason.
And finally, when should we be heading to Cooperstown to see Tim Tebow's Hall of Fame induction?
Oh, man. God love the Mets. I hope they find some baseball skill from that guy, but I have this feeling that they're going to get just as much success from what they really want him for, which is publicity and T-shirt sales and stuff like that.
Craig Calcaterra, Hardball Talk, NBC Sports. Always a pleasure talking with you. Thanks again, and we'll have to do it again soon before the end of the season.
Thanks for having me.